Good morning. Saturday morning here in the garage. We're getting ready to install the roof rack on the CRV. I've got some things laid out. I found some instructions online. There are factory Honda instructions. Looks to be pretty easy. Picked a rack up on eBay. It's in excellent shape. The seller packed things very well. I'll put a link to the seller in the description. I don't know if they'll have any more or not. So I'll turn this around, show you some of the parts and kind of where we're at right now. So far, I've just got kind of a pile of parts. These are the end caps, these little trim pieces that go under the end caps and the middle. I got all the blocks, mounting blocks, the hardware, these little things for the side rails, or the cross rails, my bad. The rails themselves, I do have to do a little bit of assembly there. And these are all the little trim pieces that go kind of down in the channel to finish everything off there. So what I've got going so far is I've got this piece out, and I'm in the process of cleaning this out. So you start at the rear. You just take something here, don't scratch the paint, pop the rear loose and just kind of work your way down through there and pop that piece out of there. So what I've discovered, and what you'll probably discover too, is there's junk in here. There was like pine needles and just dirt. So I'm going to clean this out and probably clean the roof, at least the areas where these trim pieces are going to rest. That way at least the paint's clean under that. I need to clean this anyway. I haven't even washed this yet. We've had it for, I don't know, a month, 6 weeks, something like that. And just been working on a lot of stuff. So we'll get this cleaned up. Make sure and save the clips, these little clips. They will likely stick in the trim piece that comes out of the channel. You do have to reinstall those down in here. So make sure and be careful with those. The roof rack I bought on eBay did not come with those, so you do have to reuse those, and the instructions say to reuse those too. So no fault on the seller there. So I will get this cleaned out and do a little cleaning on the roof, and then I'll be back. So here's a handy little tip. I just discovered this. The way these clips are made, see how that has a bigger end and then it gets smaller? Don't just try to shove it down over that post. What you do is bring this in, push down, and then slide forward. This is the front of the vehicle, this direction. So you push that down, slide forward, there it is. Progress so far. So I have this left rail assembled. It's pretty intuitive. The ends, there's a Torx screw on the bottom, and the top one is kind of recessed. So use the top screw that's going to fit down in that hole in the recess. That's your top screw. Bottom screw kind of goes flush. These pieces here that the bases rest on. I don't know the technical terms for this stuff, guys, so, you know, call it what you want. I am going to clean these up a little bit just because they're faded. But these pieces are marked. Let's see, bottom maybe. All right, so there's an arrow. It's kind of dirty. There's an arrow there facing forward. See the L? That's left. Driver's side's always going to be the left. Passenger side's always going to be the right. It's as you're sitting in the car, that's your left and right sides. Then you can kind of make sure they fit flush on the roof. So yeah, just fit the ends in these rails. Put your screws in. I'm going to clean these up a little bit, and then I'll be back. All right, so another handy little tip will be matching these up. And this is assuming you've bought one used. I have not cleaned these yet, so these have witness marks of where things were sitting. So if you kind of match up angles of how that fits against that, and kind of how that fits against that, the angles match up. Same on the front. This will sit kind of like right there. So you can kind of match that up. The front one, the left side save your old trim piece that comes out. You can match that up. This one kind of curves to the left. You can match the end, and this is going to sit right down in the front. So it's a good way to match them up and get pieces in the right place. I do have the directions, but I really haven't had to reference them so far, so it's going pretty well. I'm going to clean this up and I'll be back. All right, I got these little trim pieces cleaned up a little bit. They're not so faded looking. Sorry about the light, it's kind of dark in here. I use Meguiar's Ultimate Black. There are other products like this on the market. I have no preference. It's just what I have. So these blocks come in. So that rests in there. Then you've got a little screw goes in there like that. Tighten that down. And these are a T30. Just like some of the other stuff, these are marked. See the arrow forward? These are at an angle. See that angle in here? The front one specifically says left front, arrow forward. Very easy. So this is a pretty easy job, guys. It's really nothing hard to figure out. If you go to a junkyard, you'll know how to put it together anyway. I didn't have the luxury of removing this off of something else and reinstalling it, so I'm figuring it out as I go. So I'm going to mount these blocks, put in the trim pieces, and I'll be back. All right, the blocks are in place. These do have a little bit of movement, so don't think that's abnormal. So the trim pieces are in, blocks are in. So I'm getting ready to pull that left rail. I'm going to go ahead and mount that, then I'll probably do the crossbars next. So that's it. It's pretty easy. Just take your time and enjoy the process. All right, what was I saying about taking your time? So I've already messed up. I was going to go ahead and put this rail on and then put the crossbars in. But this has to be off to slide the crossbars in. So I'm going to have to take this back off and take this off to slide the rails in, which means I need to go ahead and have the other side done so I can just set the whole rack up here. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side and get these bars in. So don't do what I did. Don't get in a hurry and say, oh man, I'm excited about my rack. Yeah, I got to take it back apart. So anyway, here's the screws. While I'm here, here's the screws for this part, 6 of those each side. These are just Phillips head. So let me undo what I've done. I'll go ahead and do the other side, get these crossbars put in, and at that point, we'll probably just be ready to wrap it up. So hang in there. Little side note, and I think this is worth noting. If you're cutting your existing trim piece that goes down in the channel, the instructions will tell you how to, or the lengths to cut it to. I believe it's in millimeters. You know, don't stress out over it being perfect, because look at the margin of error you have. You can be a little too long, a little too short. I mean, so it does not have to be exactly to the millimeter when you cut it. And I noticed this too when I put the rack on our ridgeline. Same thing. It does not have to be perfectly to the millimeter. You've got some margin of error here, so doesn't matter if it's a little too short because you've got plenty of room. Okay, this wraps it up. So once you repeat the first few steps on this side, you're pretty much done. You do have to take one of these, leave one of these off. These crossbars will slide in, and there's a little square threaded piece. Kind of goes in this little slot, and then you put this little thumb screw in place there. Once you get at the very end to start that, then that'll let you slide it the rest of the way in. Overall, very easy, and looks so much better with the rack on it. Looked kind of naked before. That's why they call it a naked roof, right? Overall, very pleased. So next up, we need to clean up this Honda roof box. Get that cleaned up and mounted. The rack is not super sturdy. It's just not, the bottom of it, I think, said for 75 pounds or less. So you're not gonna put a lot of stuff up there, but that roof box is pretty light. And haul a few random things in it if I'm out of cargo space. Anyway, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Please subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.